And welcome back to Bowtie Certified. We are on episode 16. Time flies when you're having fun. And here on Bowtie Certified, we follow others' journeys, real people in the tech industry, and how their learning and certifications have given them great benefits and gotten them to where they're at. My name is Anthony Tsavelis. I am your host. And I am a technical instructor and course creator for everything Google Cloud. So if you're looking for training or certification, please feel free to reach out. And so today, my guest is Jacob Luna. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Thanks so much.
I'm excited to be here. So
I'm excited too. I mean, little backstory. Jake and I actually met on Reddit, and he was asking about my course, and so I was telling him about it, and he was a bit skeptical in the beginning, but he ended up signing up for my course, and we ended up striking a really good conversation over the past few months. When he was studying and just getting into Google Cloud itself, but over the past few months, getting to know him as an individual and a human being, I was intrigued and wanted to have him on the show to talk about his journey. So that being said, Jake, let's just dive in. So what were you doing before diving into the tech industry? And what made you decide that this was your path? And you can go as far back as you'd like.
yeah, so I consider myself relatively new in the tech industry. I think I've been in for around 5 years now. I think like most people who dive into the tech industry, get in by mistake. So I went to college for a non-related, like IT-related degree for criminal justice because I wanted to be a game warden here in Texas. And it didn't quite pan out the way I wanted to. And so what I essentially did was I had a relative who was in the networking engineering space, and they kind of like, I would talk to them a little bit about work, and they seemed to really kind of enjoy things. So after kind of graduating college and, I was working at Amazon, I was trying to do some more IT related stuff. So while I was at the Amazon fulfillment center area, I was doing like printer management and like ticketing inventory stuff.
Yeah.
And so from there, I was actually able to get an IT support position at Indeed, where that was like my real like first like breakthrough in IT.
Is Indeed still around?
Oh yeah, they're like one of the one of the number one job sites out here. So
okay, because I remember using it back when I just got into IT, and people were like, "Oh, you need to get your resume on Indeed." So
yeah.
I guess it's evolved since then.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right now, as of right now, it's the number one job search engine. So people like it. Like I said, I like it. It helps people. So yeah.
Awesome. So after Indeed, where did you go?
Yeah, so after Indeed, I went to a company called Dialpad, where I worked there pretty briefly. Did some, I guess you could say, desktop support, system administration stuff. One of the cool things I actually did there was like a whole like Meraki Cisco build out. Networking really isn't my specialty. I think everybody has their like what they're good at and what they're not good at, and networking really isn't my strong suit. So it was really interesting that I was kind of like put to the challenge on doing a whole office build out. So from the putting in the switches, the APs, the wiring and the cabling, from patch panel and everything, and setting it up because we did an office move, and so that was like way outside my scope, but I was able to pull it off pretty successfully, and it was interesting. It was very interesting learning the Meraki application and stuff.
Cool. So stepping back a little bit, because I know you went really quickly through your past.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious, what was your strategy to break into the industry? Because I mean, you said that you wanted to you went to school for something totally different. So getting that first job, how, like, what was the strategy behind that?
Yeah, so I think, and it's just kind of the trend that I've seen. If you're at wherever you're at right now, try to do anything you can IT related. Being at the fulfillment center for Amazon, it was pretty like everyone had like their sole job. And so as much as as much as possible, I try to maintain like, okay, there's a spot, that needs to be helping for the computer. So anything technical related or printers down, I worked and helped a lot of people with Zebra printers. So I could be like, oh, I did printer management, and I don't think anyone really enjoys printers.
No,
I have yet to meet anybody who's like, yeah, I love printers. Actually,
no, anyone who loves printers.
yeah. And to backtrack, I just realized, so from Amazon, I actually was able to get a contract spot with the city that I'm in now for IT asset like inventory management.
Okay.
So I got to put my hands on a lot of like actual hardware, and so that kind of helped with the concepts of stuff as well. And just kind of messing with my like local computer. So I have a Windows 10 computer, so just trying to get familiar with like basic commands. Spiceworks. Now I remember that too was the ticketing system called Spiceworks that you were able to interact with for free in your own environment, and a lot of YouTube videos. Honestly, like a lot of YouTube videos. There's one on YouTube with like the Network Plus that kind of goes through all of the Network Plus core concepts in 3 hours. I think I've watched that like 2 or 3 times. Like when I was like first getting like just trying to understand the lingo. I think was really helpful, and then kind of just doing stuff on your own until I like, solidify like an actual what we consider like an IT role. So a lot of studying. Mike Myers too, reading his A+ book. I never took the test, but just reading the book, like I think it's like 1,000. I don't know, it's huge.
Yeah.
So a lot of reading. I think a lot of people who are trying to break in, I think the managers understand that you're not going to have all the knowledge, but they want to see that, like, are you willing to learn? Like, what's your enthusiasm in IT? Because I think that's like a big thing when you're breaking into the industry. Honestly, just having that willingness to learn, put in the effort.
Definitely, and having that the passion behind it. Yeah. So so going forward now. You had gone from Indeed to a job there in your city, and you did some really good networking stuff. What did you do after that?
Yeah, so where I'm currently working, we pretty much have all of our stuff on GCP, and like within the team, we wanted to start managing more of some of the GCP infrastructure, and no one on the team really had that like in-depth knowledge, and so I pretty much, essentially, I think I mentioned it before, and to everyone I've talked to that I've gotten into, is just started with logging and how to do just kind of looking at GCP logs and stuff like that, and doing some simple like alerting, and it was one of those things where I was having a real hard time trying to figure out how to set up alerts and manage logging for infrastructure. And as soon as I figured it out, I was like, this is amazing. Like, wow. And so from there, it just kind of like slowly snowballed into like learning more and more about GCP. And I really wanted to, be knowledgeable on like some of the core like concepts that we're working with infrastructure wise. And so that's when I started kind of going towards that ACE certification. And that's where I met you, because I posted that, like, ACE ideas and stuff like that, and progress and resources to use when studying for the cloud architect or the associate cloud engineering exam. Just kind of like better my team. And honestly, it helps, I think, the company where I'm at as a whole, just having that knowledge.
So with regards to forwarding your knowledge, I know there was a big gap there that you missed out, because I wanted to touch on your security space,
Yes.
and your time in the military. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So pretty much during college, I guess you can say I was, doing a lot of classes, doing like 15 to 18 hours a semester. And if you're familiar with the U.S. education system, it's like that. Yeah, 12 hours is like what you consider like a full-time student. So doing 15, anything over 12 hours, like 15 to 18 hours is additionally 2 additional classes a semester. So it put me ahead of completing college by a whole year. And
Wow.
I remember like a really important, conversation I had with my mother. She pretty much was like, "What's your rush? Like, why do you want to get out into the real world so fast?"
Mhm.
And I was kind of taken aback because I just wanted to like get out and do my own thing. And so I really thought about that. I think for a while, I was like, okay, well, what's my rush? What's my advantage for graduating a year early? I get to work, you know, a year earlier than most people, I guess. So um, actually, I had always considered joining the military, and I had looked previously at the like National Guard level. I actually ended up landing with the Navy. So I've been in the Navy Reserves for about a little over 6 years now. Um, it's been a very interesting and fun experience. I got to travel a lot. So like I guess you consider like my role for the Navy would be gunner's mate. So I've done everything from being on the LCS ships, firearms instructor, so teaching people how to,
Wow.
I guess you could say shoot small arm weapons, which is like the M16, the M4, and the M9 Beretta. So a lot of shooting and training people how to shoot.
I've never held a gun in my life.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
did,
actually
I did, and I held a pistol in my hand, and I was really really scared.
yeah. Honestly,
I'm like, I don't want to do this again.
shoot, it's pretty wild. So and anyone who's done it, like, if you've done like long periods of shooting and like target exercise, it's actually really really tiring. So usually by the end of the day, you just smell like gunpowder, and then you're just really tired. And but being in that spot, too, required me to go and get a security clearance. So I was able to achieve the baseline active like security clearance.
Wow.
The DoD version. So which has been pretty helpful. I think it makes doing background checks a little bit easier since I do hold like and I have been maintaining that clearance for 10 years before it needs to be like revisited. Yeah.
So has that security clearance allowed you to find better jobs because of it?
I wouldn't say directly having that security clearance helps me or has helped me in the past. I know I get a lot of recruiters reaching out. A lot of the like any recruiters for like Halliburton or anything that deals with the DoD or government here, they're always reaching out to me asking if I'm interested. Especially with my IAM experience
Yes.
at Indeed. That's a hot trend right now, and so I'm constantly getting hit up by recruiters just because of the experience. Not that it's helped me actively, but yes, like because I have that clearance, it has opened up the doors, I guess you could say, for me.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So you're currently in the Navy still?
Yeah, I got a couple more days to actually get out and transfer into the individual reserves. So I'll have 2 years of that. Essentially, it's pretty much if anything like terrible happens and they need to call up people like immediately that's outside the reserves, like that group would be first. So I got 2 years of that. So it's a total of 8 years serving, and then everything. I've already done like 6 and some change. So um, end of the month is actually supposed to be when I get out. So it's gonna be interesting because it's been part of my life for yeah 6 years. So and it's also like I said, it's been part of my life and it's been part of my wife's as well. So my whole family. It's gonna be interesting transitioning out of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never really talked to anyone who is currently serving and have a full time job.
Hmm.
So it's nice to hear what it's like to be a part of that.
Yeah, and it's definitely you meet a lot of people. Um, there's all types of personalities there, so it's been really good. And like I said, I've met some like lifelong friends just being in the Navy, going through boot camp, 60 days with somebody, you build a relationship with them because, you have to, it's, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, going through boot camp sucks, but you have 100 other people that you're going it through it like with you, so you're all sharing that experience together. And so you kind of, when you're in it, you're just like, man, this is really bad. Like, this is, or why did we do this to ourselves? And then you think about it, a couple years later, and then you kind of laugh. Like, you're like, that was so, like, yeah, you just laugh at some of the stuff that, that you had to do, which is like, oh man. So it's funny now, but during boot camp, it was just like, man, this sucks. Like,
No doubt.
but that's all part of it. I think they said they want to, break you down, build you back up. So,
yeah. So, getting back to the core focus of Bowtie Certified, with regards to your learnings and your certifications, what has helped you along the way? And if you want to tell the audience, the certifications that helped you,
mm-hmm.
and you already mentioned that breaking into the industry, that you had YouTube videos, you had a lot of books. So yeah, if you can give us the lowdown for
sure thing. So currently, as of right now, I have certified in the Security Plus, the Google ACE, and then the PCA as well. I think, honestly, out of the three, I thought the ACE certification was the hardest one. I don't know why.
For those of you who don't know what ACE is, it's the Associate Cloud Engineer, and the PCA is the Professional Cloud Architect. And those are the two, I would say, entry-level exams. The entry-level, and then the professional, which builds on top of that associate certification. So yeah, just the.
And the caveat to that, and I think it's because for the professional certification, I had more exposure to GCP. So I think just having that additional 6 months of exposure to GCP and really being able to understand the products that they offer, like, it made the professional level certification easier versus the associate level exam. I was still relatively new. I think I had been messing with GCP for about 4 months, 5 months, and yeah. So I think there's a little caveat to that. As for resources, I'm a big proponent to try to look up some of the resources. So YouTube, Reddit has a lot of good stuff. The IT career questions section. If you're on Reddit and you're not part of that subreddit and you're trying to break in, they have a lot of good information, and a lot of people who are sharing not only information but accurate information. Because it's one thing to be like, well, it's a different mindset, I guess you can say, for the millennial mindset versus someone who's been employed for 30 years who hasn't actively looked for a job. Because right now it's really rough. So I would say the IT career section subreddit is a gold mine, and just to kind of look through that. One of the trends too that I've noticed is a lot of people are Office 365 based. I think that's a great stepping stone as well, but just trying to get some sort of Linux, spin up a VM, just learn the basic commands for Linux, because I can tell you from experience that most of the servers that you're interacting with in anything cloud related are going to be more Linux based. So just having that basic knowledge of it is going to help. And one of the things too is just because you're studying for content doesn't mean you have to necessarily take the exam. So one of the ones for me was I read the A plus and Network Plus stuff, and I never took the exam. But I learned so much just reading and studying for the Network Plus and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to take the exam if you study for material, and then try to find something that you're interested in too. Networking for me, like I said, is not my thing, and I think if my boss was here, he would agree. It's just not my strong suit. And then don't be afraid to ask questions. Something too that I learned in the military was, one of the you'd call the RDCs, which is the drill sergeant, I guess, equivalent, was try to find the best person and latch onto them as much as possible, and to absorb their knowledge. So I try to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm going through career-wise, is who's the best person, who's the most knowledgeable, and then try to just learn from them, because they have so much knowledge that, it's all part of making your own mistakes too, and learning from those mistakes. But if you can, avoid some mistakes, that they've seen in the past, especially for production, might as well learn from them. learn from their experiences.
And so has this been your strategy for every single job that you've done? Has it proven to be resourceful? Has it proven to be a successful way of going about learning and taking what you know and using that as transferable skills into your next role?
I would say, yeah, definitely. Like, I think in every place that I've been to, I've tried to like, I think everyone knows once you get in and you start working and you understand your basic processes and stuff like that, like, if something were to really happen, what person, like, who would you ask, type of thing, like if something really happens. And so just identifying those key individuals and just kind of like, I'm not saying you have to like shadow them and like, and hover over them, but maybe just like, talking to them and then, discussing your goals and stuff like that and see what they've seen in the past and what worked. And yeah, I would say like in life in general, yeah, trying to find, good, adequate, like people, just to kind of like shadow, and then just learn from in general, like from a life concept for me. Yeah, I try to take that mindset and apply it to life. And so,
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess having those mentors have really helped you.
yes. And that's where, like I said, that's where I found you on Reddit because I could not find a mentor for GCP. It just wasn't as active as the AWS subreddit. So I
Yeah.
am grateful I ran into you because I'm able to ask you questions all the time, and you've shared a lot of information that's helped me, so far. So
Well, I'm so glad that I could, and I try to do whatever I can, not just for my students, but for anyone who's willing to ask. And the one thing uh, being from a different industry, I tell everyone this. I didn't realize how generous people were with information that are in the technology industry. Everyone's willing to share. Everyone is willing to participate in whatever it is that you're doing. If you're having an issue, people seem to be so relaxed and very helpful. And I always thought that, being in technology, I'm going to run into a lot of introverts, which I do. But
hmm hmm
but even those introverts are so helpful, so helpful.
yeah, and to add on to that, once you get in that situation where you're kind of like the SME, it's also appropriate that you share your knowledge when someone asks you
Yeah.
to. You don't want to be that person who never gives back to their community, in some form or fashion. Try to give back because like people are just starting out their careers, and people just sometimes just need a little guidance. Um, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that you come from a mindset where you do want to give back.
hmm hmm
And I mean, yes, serving for the military is one way of giving back. I mean, you're giving back to your country. That's huge. Um, Within your community, how are you doing that?
Within, I guess you can say within the community, I try to be really active in the GCP, the Slack channel in there, and then mainly right now, is the Google Cloud subreddit. So I'm pretty active in there, when I can be. I know, my wife gets onto me to not be on my phone as much because I'm just staring at a screen all day, and then I get on my phone to see what the community is doing or see if anybody needs help. And then I try to, just do. Usually, what I try to do is I try to give them an answer, but not only that, I try to like link the GCP documentation,
Mhm.
to further like influence them to
That's
to read the documentation. Yeah, because
always helpful.
it's like I said, someone can go in there and they can say whatever they want, and hopefully someone just take it face value. So I think posting the my opinion or my resource, and then posting the GCP documentation to back up my statement really helps. Guide people for simple stuff. Usually it's IAM related. I help with a lot of IAM related tasks in that subreddit. So
So for those of you who aren't familiar with IAM, that is Identity and Access Management. So basically, your user is your identity, and and a lot of cloud engineers, they go through a lot of securing identities, and understanding permissions and policies, and it can get quite complex. And so I know firsthand that Jacob has spent a lot of time in identity and access management trying to figure out policies and permissions, and really starting to understand it's not just from a surface level, but from a very, very deep level.
Yeah, especially with GCP, with all the inheritance structure, there's a lot of IAM related policies and stuff like that. You know, you have the organization, the folders, the resources itself, and the projects. So there's a lot of there's a lot of IAM in GCP compared to like traditional, I guess, SaaS applications and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm going to be getting deeper into that in my professional cloud architect course with regards to organizational policies. So you may want to check that out for those of you who are watching. So getting back into it, what does the future look like for Jake Luna?
Yeah, so for me, as of right now, doing GCP cloud stuff for where I'm currently employed has been a very big eye opener, and honestly, it like rekindled my passion for IT, because I was kind of getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I keep doing a lot of SaaS application admin stuff, like, so I've really like, you know, I guess say, you know, I'm like really interested in GCP. So I think now that I have the PCA certification, one of the things I'm going to be looking into more is that Terraform certification. So that seems to be, you know, a big recommendation right now, and a lot of companies are looking for people with Terraform experience. One of the things too that I personally want to work on is being able to code a little bit more. So I do a lot of Bash stuff now, but I think getting more hands-on and actually like using Python. So those are my two big ones that I want to accomplish for 2021. Especially the Python one. I think that's where my, like, you can say, if I had to say what my weakness was, is I'm not really coding. I'm not a coder. I come from more of the operations side. And in Terraform, I've done a lot of stuff so far in Terraform, so I have that understanding on how that works. But I think expanding that knowledge and then the knowledge that I have with Bash into an actual like Python programming, and really beefing up that, I think that would long-term benefit me, because I just see a lot of the upper level postings as well. It always recommends or having, you know, Python experience or Go experience, especially in the cloud space. Python and Go seem to be the two languages that are wanted.
Yeah, even at if you look at security or DevOps or anything data related, you always find Python. Always.
Yeah, Python's always there. I think if I could do it over again, I would probably emphasize learning Python at like earlier in my career. I think I'm still early in my career, but you know, early in my career, one of the books I read was that Automate the Boring Stuff, and that was an interesting book, but not a lot of it clicked for me. But I got to do a lot of cool stuff, and then using the some of the Udemy courses and the Juniper Notebook for Python stuff too. I'm a big hands-on learner, so like reading by itself doesn't do a whole lot to me. So I have to usually read and then like hands-on demo for myself, and then honestly too, when sometimes it just clicks. Like sometimes I'll just look at something in Terraform documentation and I'm like, what? And then it just I'll mess with it for like an hour and then it just clicks, and then I'm like, oh, like just looking at something long enough for me, just it makes things click.
Yeah, and for those of you who are looking for a decent Terraform course, you could check out my buddy Derek Morgan. He does a fantastic Terraform course, and it's, I think it's 7.5 hours now, and I think it's still growing. So yeah, it'll get you ready for the certification, and it's almost all demos. And it's a pretty fantastic course. I've audited a lot of it, and so for those of you who are looking to learn Terraform, that's the course. So getting back to it, if you could offer just one piece of advice to others who are striving to either get into the industry or to move up in their role, what would it be?
What would it be, man? Just one piece of advice.
Or you can give a couple.
Yeah, I think there's some important parts. Is one, you're gonna have to put in the work. I always see a lot of people, and this is a little bit because I come from a non-traditional IT background that are, a lot of the new graduates coming with an IT background. Like, I want to be a systems administrator, like right off the bat, and I think it's definitely achievable. But I think you learn a lot doing the desktop support, help desk type of work. um, I think you learn a lot from just, you know, how to interact with users, how to approach problems, at the lower level, help desk 1, 2, and 3, and desktop support. So putting in the work, and then just I think networking. Um, Networking, I think, is undervalued or underrated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. I think people just should probably network just a little bit. Be bold. Like, what, like, I think I'm a very like driven individual. So like in the back of my mind, like one of the things I have is, if I don't put in the work, someone else will. Like, someone, if I'm not willing to do it and take the extra steps to achieve something, someone else will do it. Someone, not me. And I want it to be me. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things too, is like, I don't think, and I mentioned this before, I don't think I'll ever consider myself the smartest person, but I will most likely outwork you, whether it's studying or anything. Like, I'm a very driven individual, and I think my wife would probably agree with that one as well.
I took something from my days in Ironman when I was training, and when I wasn't training, I always remember that there's always somebody out there that's training harder than I am, and which is going to get them to the finish line faster than me. So always remember that there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to outperform you, and so you need to do what you can to be the best version of yourself. And it may sound a little bit cheesy or whatever, but I mean that's the raw truth.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's funny you mentioned that, because I got a lot of my certifications out in 2020 and 2021. Because prior to that, like, I was really big into fitness and stuff like that. So my wife and I, we were always going to the gym. So I carried. And then once, as everyone knows, once COVID hit, everything here kind of went on lockdown, and so we pretty much weren't going to the gym anymore. So I was able to transfer that, like, working out mentality.
Yes.
Transitioning that mentality from the gym, because I'm not able to go, to learning more tech stuff. So definitely you gotta want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And don't give up too. Like, it's, like you said, right now, I think the experiencing, if you're in the US, like, it's brutal right now. Like, it is, like, just, you gotta keep with it. You gotta keep up with the punches. Don't give up. You'll get in. Yeah, you just gotta keep with it.
That's some great advice. I mean, having just even having that positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I always, something that I always do is whenever I wake up, most people just go straight for their phone, and I just take a moment to enjoy the fact that I just woke up to another day.
Yep, you're not guaranteed. So it's definitely, yeah. I would like to, I like to think that I have a pretty positive outlook on life as well. So yeah, you're never guaranteed the next day.
Yeah. And so waking up that next day is like, it's a blessing. So, so yeah, I'm going to open up the floor for questions from the audience, if you have any. In the meantime, Jake, is there a best way for others to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you're more than welcome to add me on LinkedIn, and like I said, especially those newer people. If you're looking to break into the IT industry, it can always kind of help you, and like I said, provide some sort of information, or even look at your resume, if you like, or even just hook you up with somebody who might have more knowledge. So if you're looking into like a certain field, I might have a connection. It's all about networking. I might have a connection that might be able to help you. So if I can't help you, at least be able to point you into the right direction, and yeah, so feel free to pretty much reach out to me there. I'm pretty active on the Slack channel, the tech study one that we have for the GCP ACE. So let me think. Yeah, so LinkedIn would probably be the best. Message me on there, and I'll put you in the right direction, or at least give you some sort of resources to succeed. So
yeah, and you can find him under Jacob Luna, his formal name.
yeah.
And yeah, another thing that I did want to really emphasize that you brought up is the fact that networking is so undervalued. You know, now that I've grown my network on LinkedIn to 20,000 followers, I've really noticed a big stride in connecting with other people. I mean, last night I got to talk to the CEO of a huge consulting firm that I was just like, this guy may not even bother even talking to me. But I reached out to him anyways because I saw he was very active on LinkedIn, and I complimented him on the amount of time that he was spending on LinkedIn, the amount of time that he was posting, and the amount of value he was bringing. Sure enough, he responded, and we had a conversation. And then he recommended me to a guy on the ground here in Toronto who is part of his team. So, you know,
Nice. Yeah, I think I think if you can network successfully on LinkedIn, like that in itself is a bonus to anybody just trying to break into the industry, because it is what it is.
yeah, and you know, to top it off, I mean, I haven't had to look for a job for probably the past 6 to 7 years because of LinkedIn. It's such a powerful tool. So anyone watching and they're looking to get a job in IT, or you're looking to even get a different role, use LinkedIn. It's by far the best tool. I mean, you know, you can shuffle around your resume all day, but if you're not getting the connections that you need to get into the role that you want, it's not going to do that much good, especially since LinkedIn is your online resume.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I definitely recommend utilizing LinkedIn and just adding people or joining groups. LinkedIn has those groups functions now, so joining groups and seeing what everyone's talking about. What's the latest tech? You know, where are people going? Is definitely valuable.
yes. All right. So it doesn't seem like there's any questions. But I did want to take a moment to thank you again, Jake, for coming on the show. I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to watching your journey.
Yeah.
So far, it's been very, very exciting.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. So, like I said, if anyone wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn, add me. Just feel free, and I'll guide you in the right direction.
Amazing, amazing. And I wanted to thank you all for tuning in again to Bowtie Certified. And I will see you all next week at the same time, same channel. And until then, keep on striving and keep on learning. Have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you again.